Hey everybody, Eric from the Unlockables. Before we get started on this part, I just wanted to explain why I had to split Kingdom Hearts into parts 1 and 2. If you didn't listen to the end of the last episode, basically what happened was in the process of doing notes and recording for this game specifically, I ended up with 38 pages of notes and over 4 hours of audio to splice together into some kind of coherent listening experience. And this episode would have easily been 3.5 to 4 hours long, easily after I edited in and mixed everything that I wanted to. So for that reason, I split it into two, and hopefully it makes for a better listening experience. So real quick before we get started, if you haven't listened to part 1, definitely go and do that so you can catch up with where we are. And we're going to dive into part 2 right now. So I think where we left off was Monstro, and we left Monstro obviously with our encounter with Riku, him being Monstro, having sneezed us out after we defeated the Heartless inside of his digestive tract, and we kind of get sneezed out and are permitted to carry on our adventure. I took a couple quick pit stops. I went back to the Olympus Coliseum to do the Phil and the Pegasus Cups, and I went back to Traverse Town to talk to Merlin about magic and get a Keyblade. So after that, we basically have the rest of the second phase of the game. We have the world of Atlantica, we have the world of Halloween Town, and we have the world of Neverland. And there are a couple of important story points in each of these worlds. Atlantica is the most interesting out of these probably, because as we get there, it's obviously all underwater, and this is where the gameplay varies drastically from the rest of the game, because you get turned into a mermaid-like creature, and Donald, before you land, infers heavily that he will use his magic so that they'll be able to survive in this world, which leads to a lot of questions. It's like, well, if Donald, if you can do that, why aren't you doing that? Like, that's the ability to transform people and things is a very powerful magic. So why aren't you doing this more often? But I digress. That's a relatively minor thing. It's kind of like, why didn't Aladdin just wish for Genie to save Jasmine? Or why didn't Aladdin just wish for Jafar to like go be disappeared or like taken somewhere far away or something? You know, that sort of loophole thing. But I digress. So Atlantica, you turn into a mermaid and the controls are switched a little bit. You lose access to a lot of your abilities, such as Sonic and Ars Arcanum and Dodge Roll. In swimming around, in favor of swimming around, you use the square button to ascend, or descend, and the circle button to ascend. It's interesting. It's kind of annoying just because the battles kind of tend to take a while, but we do get some important bits of lore and information in Atlantica. After meeting Ariel, Flounder, and Sebastian, we go to the palace and meet King Triton, and Goofy lets slip that they're there to find the keyhole, and Triton gets pissed. So it's obvious that he knows kind of what's going on, and he pretty much tells Goofy and Sora Donald, there's no keyhole here, like just get out of here. You don't need to be worrying about that. There's no such thing. It's here that Ariel, obviously from the movie, being curious as she is, wanting to explore the worlds and go to the surface, wants to look for the keyhole. So the gang explores the ocean, and what ends up happening is they find a crystal trident that fits into a convenient trident-shaped slot on the wall in Ariel's grotto. And at this time, when you do this, King Triton appears, and he destroys the crystal trident, which causes Ariel to flee very upset. And Triton scolds Sora here. He says,
"Young man, you're not from another ocean. You're from another world, aren't you?"
Huh?
Then you must be the key bearer.
How did you know?
You may fool Ariel, but you can't fool me. You don't know your dorsal fin from your tail. As the key bearer, you must already know one must not meddle in the affairs of other worlds.
Of course I know that, but
You have violated this principle. The key bearer shatters peace and brings ruin.
Oh, Sora's not like that.
I thank you for saving my daughter, but there is no room in my ocean for you or your key.
This gives us a little bit of information that throughout most parts of the game and most parts of the worlds, like people don't really know what the Keyblade is. Even the Final Fantasy gang, having knowledge of what the Keyblade is, have never actually seen it before or know what the Key Bearer's role in society amongst the worlds is. And Triton seems to have firsthand knowledge of this, like he's seen it before or that he's heard the legends and the stories before. So he pretty much tells Sora that, you need to get out because you and your key are nothing but trouble. And the stories say that the Key Bearer brings only ruin, only destruction, which, man, looking back, is a lot of foreshadowing about Kingdom Hearts lore from a Disney character, which normally isn't the case. So we find out that Ursula plots against Triton and pretty much manipulates Ariel into helping her get the trident and uses the trident to defeat Triton. And basically you have to fight her twice. You fight her once in her lair, which is a pretty easy fight. And if you just spam magic at the cauldron, it kills her pretty fast. The second fight, which from, the famous scene from the movie where she uses the trident to get ginormous, that fight's actually very, very difficult. There's a lot going on in that fight. This was probably the first part in the game where I was like, wow, the difficulty spike here was pretty intense. But you defeat Ursula, you get the trident back, and it's revealed that the trident can be used in that trident-shaped slot in Ariel's grotto to reveal the keyhole. You seal it and move on. Moving on to Halloween Town, there's not too much here. I like the theme aesthetically of Halloween Town because you turn into a more spooky version to fit in with the world. Donald being a mummy, Goofy being some kind of Frankenstein monster. But the world here is very linear. There's only one save point, and it basically is a one path through the world that goes through the central guillotine square. There's not much that goes into this world. I like the aesthetic a lot, but the overall world design is pretty disappointing. The story here is that Jack Skellington, being the Pumpkin King, the leader of Halloween Town, and your party member in this world, which I will say, by the way, this was the one world that I switched Donald out for Jack, because out of all of the NPC allies that you get in this game, Jack Skellington is really fucking good. Him and Beast are probably the two best, but he's really good. He was too good to not have in this game, so sat Donald down, prevented him from dying from this world, at least, to get Jack Skellington in on the game. And in this world, you kind of start to touch on the nature of a heart. What's going on is when Sora and friends first arrive, there's Heartless all over the square, but they aren't doing anything. And it's at this point you run into Jack, you meet the doctor at the lab, and they're trying to use the Heartless in their Halloween celebration, of course, keeping with the themes of both the movie and the world. And it's at this point that they can't get the Heartless to do anything that they want him to do, so Jack and Dr. Finkelstein come up with this idea to create a heart to give the Heartless a heart. And they start asking, well, what is the essence of a heart? Fear, despair, hope, memory, surprise, all these things, emotion, all these things that make up the essence of a heart. Part of your story is trying to help them gather components to go into this heart, right? And memory being something like a flower, forget-me-not, surprise being a jack-in-the-box, the things that make up the essence of the human emotion, right? Well, Oogie Boogie, one of the Disney villains, gets word of this and decides to steal the heart using, I think it's Lock, Shock, and Barrel are the name of the three troublemaker kids to steal the heart so that he can control the Heartless. At first, I thought this was kind of silly and stupid because they're already Heartless in the world, but the more I thought about it, Oogie Boogie would need a heart to control the Heartless because that's what the Heartless are drawn to. And Oogie Boogie, if you know from the movie, is just a sack of bugs tied up in basically a giant sack. So at first I didn't understand this, but as I thought about it more, I was like, yes, of what we know about the Heartless and their nature, they're drawn to people with strong hearts. So of course, if Jack and the Doctor were making a heart, Oogie Boogie would want to steal it so that he'd have better control over the Heartless. That makes sense, and I kind of like how they brought that into this world and how they kind of did that. So the rest of that world revolves around Oogie Boogie stealing the heart. You go to his giant house that he has, beat the crap out of the three kids that stole the heart, and you confront Oogie Boogie in his lair, which has all the gambling and the roulette thing from the movie, right? And this fight's super underwhelming. There's randomness to it because he rolls dice and the roulette wheel does different things to you based on what his dice rolls are. And then you have to step on a button when it glows to kind of trap him, and a platform raises up and that's how you attack him. It's a pretty lackluster fight for a relatively great Disney villain. And then afterwards, he basically transforms and fuses with his giant treehouse, and you have to climb all over and defeat these dark glowing globs, pustules, something, pimples, whatever they are, all over him. And once you do that, the fight's pretty much over. You seal the keyhole. You don't get the heart back, but Jack and Sally reunite and decide to do something else for Halloween. So a lot of themes of what exactly is a heart, what is a heart comprised of. And I think that ties in really well to the overall game. That's basically the worlds of Atlantica and Nightmare Before Christmas, Halloween Town. Our last stop on the second phase of this journey is Neverland, the Peter Pan world. And this is less of a world and more just Captain Hook's ship, because the way you encounter this is you're flying on the Gummy ship, and basically Captain Hook's ship is flying through space and intercepts you and captures you. This world, will not visually or level design wise striking, pretty much it's just the ship and the clock tower. You get a interesting bit of story with Sora and Riku, really the third and final time you encounter Riku before the end. And once Sora, Donald, and Goofy land on the ship, they're pretty much surrounded by Captain Hook and the Heartless all at once. Sora encounters Riku upon arrival, asks where Donald and Goofy are, who have actually already been captured and thrown in the brig. And Riku just continues to taunt him, asking him if Donald and Goofy are more important than him and Kairi, and if he was really concerned about her, he would have found her and would be more important. She would be more important to him. He steps aside to reveal Kairi sitting there on the deck of the ship, completely out of it, not aware of her surroundings at all.
I didn't think you'd come, Sora. Good to see you again.
Well, where are Donald and Goofy?
Are they that important to you? More important than old friends? Instead of worrying about them, you should be asking about her.
Kairi!
That's right. While you were off goofing around, I finally found her.
Not so fast. No shenanigans aboard my vessel, boy.
Riku, why are you siding with the Heartless?
The Heartless obey me now, Sora. Now I have nothing to fear.
You're stupid! Sooner or later they'll swallow your heart!
Not a chance. My heart's too strong.
Riku!
I've picked up a few other tricks as well. Like this, for instance. You can go see your friends now.
Ah!
Let's get underway already. And keep Sora away from Kairi until we're ready to land.
Sora tries to rush to her, but is stopped by Captain Hook and the Heartless. And Sora, is just can't believe his friend is siding with the Heartless, and just tells him that if he's not careful, the Heartless will steal his heart. But Riku's like, my heart's too strong. The Heartless obey me now. Sora responds with the all-time best comeback ever of all time. You're stupid.
You're stupid! You're stupid!
And tells Riku that his heart will be swallowed by the darkness if he's not careful. Riku does a cool move where he raises Sora's shadow from the ground, kind of how it did in the Awakening section, to form the giant dark side Heartless, and basically throws Sora in the brig with Donald and Goofy. Despite all this, we get a scene of Sora laying on Donald and Goofy because he just landed there. Despite all this, despite the fact that they're captured, his friend is being a giant dick, he's generally in good spirits because he finally found Kairi. He knows that all of his friends are okay, so now he can get to work trying to fix everything. But only problem is they're stuck in the brig, and who else should show up but Peter Pan to try and offer them a way out, and Tinkerbell. And of course, Peter Pan, kind of a snarky jerk when you first meet him, but I don't know why they didn't think about this. Like, Sora's weapon is a Keyblade, so throwing him in the brig isn't going to do anything to keep him and Donald and Goofy stuck down there. He can just unlock it. So pretty much what you do is you get out of jail for basically nothing. And Peter Pan, you fight some Heartless, and Peter Pan explains that, Wendy's here too. And along with Kairi, he's trying to save her, and basically tells him that anybody can fly here because Peter Pan's whole thing is that he flies. Side note too, I did swap in Peter Pan for Donald Duck as well, because one of his moves that he does is he just will go and start stabbing somebody really fast with his tiny little dagger. And he does this chicken noise where like a cock-a-doodle-doo. I'm not going to try and do it. Maybe I'll insert it right here. And he does this nonstop. So basically that is my battle cry for the Neverland world, is just Peter Pan making rooster sounds. It's absolutely fantastic. They fight their way through the ship. Peter Pan finds Wendy, gets to her, rescues her, leaving Sora, Donald, and Goofy to kind of deal with where Kairi is. They get into Hook's quarters, and this is where you have a boss fight with the anti-Sora shadow that Riku raised. Pretty tough fight. I actually died on this one, but once you know the gimmick of kind of how he multiplies, it's not really that big of a deal. And this is where we At this point, Riku's left with Kairi while we're fighting this, and we get outside onto the ship, only to be surrounded by Captain Hook and the Heartless. He forces us to walk the plank, but just when all seems lost, we hear Peter Pan's voice telling Sora, "If you just believe, you can fly." Sora jumps off of the plank and proceeds to fly around the ship. He can fly now. And this is the main gimmick in Neverland, is that while you're here, you're allowed to fly in the same manner that you swam in Atlantica. You can use O to ascend and square to descend. If you're on a PlayStation controller, obviously, you just use those two side buttons on, I would assume, any of the gamepad controls. I haven't played the Nintendo versions or the Xbox versions, so I'm only familiar with the PlayStation versions. Peter Pan jumps in. Captain Hook flees back into his quarters because he hears the crocodile, and once they clean up the Heartless, Peter Pan imitates his first mate Smee's voice to tell him that everyone was taken care of, and from here you have a fight with Captain Hook. Not a very impressive or intimidating fight at all. He has some sword slash moves and he throws bombs at you. Pretty much flying enables you to win this fight pretty easily, although he does summon some flying Heartless to help him. You basically knock Hook overboard, and the crocodile that ate his hand chases him away. Despite all of this, even after everything, Riku taking Kairi, Sora lost his friends again. Despite everything, he's still in a pretty good mood overall. He just can't wait to tell Kairi that he flew, and whether or not she would believe him. Peter Pan's like, you could bring her to Neverland sometime, which no, you won't be able to, because if you restore the balance of the worlds will be separated again. That's another thing. Tinkerbell comes, said there's an issue at the clock tower. We rush to the clock tower, and it turns out that's where the keyhole is for this world, and we seal it. Get ready to move on. Throughout our journeys for these last 3 worlds, we've gathered more navigation gummies. So in order to find the last place, Hollow Bastion, which that's where Captain Hook tells us that Riku took Kairi, and that's where Maleficent is, we have to install the navigation gummies. So back to Traverse Town once more to have Sid install those on our ship. As he takes the gummies to go install on the ship, Sora kind of starts to have another hallucination, kind of blacks out, has a vision of him flying towards this light, and then he sees younger Kairi in what appears to be like a library, standing in front of an older woman who is maybe a caretaker of children, her grandmother. Doesn't really matter that much. But Kairi's older caretaker proceeds to tell her a story of the original Kingdom Hearts. This is the first little tidbit of information we get about Kingdom Hearts towards the end of the game. It's not really, people talk about a door to darkness and things like that throughout the story of this game, but this is the first real lore drop we get of Kingdom Hearts, and it is a very pivotal scene to the overall story, because this background lore is the backbone of every Kingdom Hearts game that will come from now on, including prequel mobile games that focused on the past closer to this area that she's describing. As I explained in my Kingdom Hearts primer video, this is the story that the old woman tells, and she says that once a long time ago, all the worlds were combined into one, and they lived under the light of Kingdom Hearts, which was the one true source of all the light, the place where everyone's hearts came from. But the people got jealous and they wanted to keep the light for themselves, so they started to fight over it, and this is where the darkness was born in people's hearts. The darkness spread, it swallowed the original Kingdom Hearts, it destroyed the world as we know it, and the worlds as they were built into the state they are today, separated from one another, were only created because of the light that were left over in the pure hearts of children being innocent and untainted by darkness. Very, very, very important basic synopsis of the background lore. This is basically Kingdom Hearts ancient history. This is like Old Republic shit from Star Wars. Like, stuff of it happens very, very, very early in the history of Kingdom Hearts. And we'll explore more of this when we get to the mobile games and start getting into prequel games to the first Kingdom Hearts. Sora snaps back to it. It's just kind of like, whoa, like, what's going on? Donald and Goofy are worried about him, says he's fine. If you haven't noticed, like, Sora keeps having these hallucinations of Kairi or things to do with Kairi. Very kind of strange. You can chalk it up to just that he misses her, but he's obviously got some kind of connection with her, that, you know, something happened that they're intrinsically linked, that he's seeing her or seeing memories that she used to have. And it turns out that, like, this is the origin of Kairi. She came from somewhere else to the Destiny Island. She was somewhere else before this with a caretaker. Once we have this flashback, Sid returns and tells us that Hollow Bastion is super dangerous, that it's overwhelmed with darkness, and it would be foolish to go there. But we're going anyways because we've got to save Kairi and help our friend Riku. So after all this, we fly to Hollow Bastion in our gummy ship, and we finally arrive at the point where, if you remember way back at the start, when we saw Sora originally arrive in Traverse Town, we got a cutscene of Riku arriving somewhere on a platform surrounded by waterfalls. This was Hollow Bastion. This is where Riku's journey started, and this is where Maleficent originally found him. Get there, we hear a roar, and we start to make our way up the Hollow Bastion cliffs. So Riku questions Beast before attacking him, and it was like, how are you here? How your world was destroyed when we took Belle. How are you here? Through all the established rules of travel in Kingdom Hearts, it should not be possible that Beast is here right now, but he just said that he simply believed that he would find Belle and that he was brought there. Beast was so fucking angry that Riku, or whoever, Maleficent, took Belle, that he broke all laws of physics and just through sheer force of will traveled to where she was being held. Man, literally too angry to die, literally too angry that his world was destroyed, literally too angry that his girl was taken, that it brought him to the place where she was. Unbelievable, absolutely insane. So Riku injures Beast in their ensuing clash, and Sora shows up and is like, what are you doing? Like, you're not the person that I recognize that you are.
So, you finally made it. About time. I've been waiting for you. We've always been rivals, haven't we? You've always pushed me, as I've always pushed you.
Riku!
But it all ends here. There can't be two Keyblade Masters.
What are you talking about?
Let the Keyblade choose. Its true master!
Ugh.
Maleficent was right. You don't have what it takes to save Kairi. It's up to me. Only the Keyblade Master can open the secret door and change the world.
But that's impossible. How did this happen? I'm the one who fought my way here with the Keyblade!
You were just the delivery boy. Sorry, your part's over now. Here, go play hero with this.
And Riku's like, you're right. We've always been rivals. We've always pushed each other. And it's at this point, Riku makes one of the stupidest statements in the entirety of Kingdom Hearts. Not really his fault because it was written before the entire story is written. And he claims,
there can't be two Keyblade Masters.
Reaches out his hand and just proceeds to take the Keyblade from Sora, warping it out of Sora's hands and taking it into his hands. Sora asks how it's possible, and Riku just tells him, Maleficent told me I was supposed to have this, and she was right. You were just a delivery boy to bring it to me. And in basically pouring salt in the wound, he throws Sora his old wooden sword from the island and says, go play hero with this, and just leaves. And poor Sora, like, having gone through everything that he's gone through to just have this taken from him. And what's worse is that at this point, Donald and Goofy still don't know Sora that well. They're still figuring out their dynamic. And because the king ordered them to follow the key, they just fucking leave Sora and go with Riku. Sora's at probably the lowest point that he's ever been in this game right now. But he very quickly shakes it off, realizing that Beast is hurt, rushes over to him because he cares more for others than he does himself. At this point, you have a wooden sword that can't do anything. For this part of the game, you have to fully rely on Beast to help you through the level until you can get to the point where you can get your weapon back. And I kind of like this because it establishes a dynamic that you haven't had since the beginning of the game. Once you got the Keyblade, you had the power to defeat the Heartless and you had the power to affect change in the world. Without it, Sora's very helpless and he has to rely on the strength of his friend that he found in Beast to get through the world. You can still use magic with the wooden sword, but I think this really drives home the message of Kingdom Hearts, that it's the connections with your friends to your heart that are really matter. And it's at this point that Sora starts to realize this is actually what is important. It's not a weapon. It's not what people are saying that he is the chosen Keyblade wielder. It's his connections with people and the strength of his heart that are the real driving force that can save the day. So once you fight through everything with Beast, you unlock the main castle door to the Grand Hall, and Riku is there waiting for you. Beast gets tricked into a side room with an image of Belle, and he's closed off you from this fight. And it's at this point Riku starts going on about only the Keyblade Master can open the secret door. He's going to get Kairi her heart back, and proceeds to launch a fireball at Sora, intending to kill his friend. And at the last second, Goofy steps in and blocks it and says, I know we're supposed to follow our king's orders, but I'm not going to betray Sora, and tells Donald to apologize. And Donald's like, you know what? This is messed up. We should be with Sora. We've been with him the whole time. And Riku is like, well, how can you fight me? You don't have a weapon. There's nothing you can do about it. You're not strong. And it's at this moment that Sora has this realization of,
How will you fight without a weapon?
I know now I don't need the Keyblade. I've got a better weapon. My heart.
Your heart? What good will that weak little thing do for you?
Although my heart may be weak, it's not alone. It's grown with each new experience, and it's found a home with all the friends I've made. I've become part of their heart just as they've become a part of mine. And if they think of me now and then, if they don't forget me, then our hearts will be one.
his entire journey of his struggles with Beast through the castle, saying that it doesn't matter that he doesn't have the Keyblade. His strength and his connections are his actual weapon, and saying the most famous, infamous, cheesiest ass line in the entire series.
I don't need a weapon. My friends are my power.
And at this point, the Keyblade warps back into Sora's hand, and Riku's absolutely stunned. He can't believe that this is happening. And here, finally, in the entrance hall of the castle of Hollow Bastion, you have your first fight with Riku, and proceed to just beat the shit out of him. This fight isn't super difficult. And after this, he has this dark suit on with his dark powers. The dark suit fades and he just runs away because you beat him. As Sora, Donald, Goofy, and Beast have to find all of these pieces of this door to unlock it, we get a cutscene with Riku running further back into the castle, questioning, why did he lose the Keyblade? Why does this happen? How did Sora beat him? He's supposed to be stronger. And finally, a thread that ties back to the start, the original beginning of the game, we see our mysterious friend in the brown cloak.
Why? It was mine.
Know this. The heart that is strong and true shall win the Keyblade.
What? You're saying my heart's weaker than his?
For that instant it was. However, you can become stronger. You showed no fear in stepping through the door to darkness. It held no terror for you. Plunge deeper into the darkness, and your heart will grow even stronger.
What should I do?
It's really quite simple. Open yourself to the darkness. That is all. Let your heart, your being, become darkness itself.
And this is not good. Not good for Riku, not good for us, not good for anybody. After this, we get a scene where Riku arrives to where Maleficent is with all the Princesses of Heart gathered. She's getting ready to use the Princesses of Heart to open the keyhole and open the final door in Hollow Bastion. That's been her plan the whole time. She has all the Princesses of Heart, with the exception of Kairi missing her heart. And a dual-voiced Riku steps forward. And this is where you notice that things are messed up. That our brown cloaked figure must have possessed him or merged with him or something, because he's talking not only in Riku's voice, but in this mysterious figure's voice as well at the same time. Very demonic sounding, very, very creepy sounding. And what he does is he summons a wicked looking black and red Keyblade, saying that this Keyblade has the power to unlock people's hearts. And it's got a very wicked looking tip of an incomplete heart at the end. Very, very cool stuff. And it's at this point that the gang has finished making their way through the rest of Hollow Bastion. And Maleficent's like, this has gone too far. I'll go deal with them myself. This is absolutely ridiculous. And it's here, finally, we finally get to have a confrontation with Maleficent. This is not a difficult fight at all. She's basically floating on a platform. She'll cast some spells, summon some Heartless. If you defeat the platform's health bar, deplete it all the way, it'll crash down and you can attack her. for someone who was built up to be like one of the big bads of this game, for the most part, the person that was kind of pulling all of the strings until the reveal that's about to happen, she's not incredibly difficult at all. But the second phase of this fight is much more difficult. After you beat her the first time, she retreats into a room further back. And this is where you see Riku, who is now possessed. And this is where he explains about the power of his Keyblade. And of course, now there are 2 Keyblades. So his sentence that he said literally 10 minutes before about
There can't be 2 Keyblade Masters
is basically moot, basically nothing. Doesn't mean anything. It's the most hilarious thing that's ever been said in the entire series going forward from here. He says his Keyblade has the power to unlock people's hearts. He proceeds to stab Maleficent through the chest and basically unlock the full power of the darkness in her heart. And this is where she transforms into the dragon, that you see in the Sleeping Beauty movie when the prince fights the dragon on the bridge. And this fight is actually super cool and super difficult. This is one of the best fights in the game. It's so visually striking. It's just, you're in a giant room with fighting a giant dragon. It's so awesome. But eventually you do overcome Dragon Maleficent, and she is basically gone. Catches fire, she disintegrates, she's just a black smudge on the floor now. After we defeat her, Riku comes back saying that the Heartless were actually the ones manipulating Maleficent the whole time. And Riku leaves to go off to deal with the keyhole. We finally reach the princesses after we fight Maleficent in the room. This is the furthest room in the castle that we've been. There's a heart-shaped energy portal with electric beams running across it. It's very scientific. All of the princesses of heart are in these holding capsules that line the wall, and Kairi is laying up the stairs in the middle right in front of the portal. As we rush up the stairs to save Kairi, Donald and Goofy, as Sora runs up one set of stairs, Donald and Goofy get stopped basically by a barrier that's at the stairs after Sora runs by it, signaling that Sora has to deal with this on his own. And it's here that Riku gives off the big reveal.
Kairi! 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 Open your eyes!
It's no use. That girl has lost her heart. She cannot wake up.
What? You're not Riku?
The keyhole cannot be completed so long as the last princess of heart still sleeps.
The princess? Kairi's a princess?
Yes. And without her power, the keyhole will remain incomplete. It is time she awakened.
Whoever you are, let Riku go! Give him back his heart!
But first, you must give the princess back her heart.
What's...
Don't you see yet? The princess's heart is responding. It has been there all along. Kairi's heart rests within you.
Kairi's inside me?
I know all that there is to know.
Tell me, who are you?
It is I, Ansem, the Seeker of Darkness. So, I shall release you now, Princess. Complete the keyhole with your power. Open the door. Lead me into everlasting darkness.
Sora! Forget it. There's no way you're taking Kairi's heart.
And it's interesting because the whole time Ansem is built up to be this benevolent researcher that was trying to stop this problem. And even the Ansem reports you've collected up until now, and that's something you've gotten from defeating some of the villains or finding some of the treasures, you've gotten some pages of the Ansem reports. If you read those, it didn't seem to make out that he was like a crazy person, that he was just kind of like a researcher curious trying to figure out what this problem was, and he was studying the heart. But he reveals that he's actually batshit insane. And Ansem Riku makes another stunning revelation by saying, he points his Keyblade at Sora, and Sora just kind of is standing there, not able to move. And he says the princess's heart is responding. talking about Kyrie's heart, and he reveals to Sora that Kyrie's heart has been inside him the whole time. The whole time he was looking, they were looking for it. It was inside Sora. If you remember the scene at the start when I said that Kyrie was standing in front of the door in the secret place, the door blew open and she went flying towards Sora and then disappeared. Her heart actually disappeared inside of him during that scene. If you can tell, it's very close if you pause it and slow it down. So Sora falls to his knees. He can't believe all this. Kyrie's heart's inside him. This explains why he's been hallucinating her throughout his journey. This explains why he saw that memory of her with the older woman caretaker telling her the story. This explains everything. So Sora falls to his knees. He's in stunned disbelief. And Ansem Riku walks up to him, is about to deliver the blow to free Kyrie's heart. And Sora hears Kyrie's voice and says, Sora, wake up, basically. And he raises his Keyblade at the last second and says, there's no way you're taking Kyrie's heart from me. And what proceeds is something that has been in the making since the start of this game. We have come full circle from these two competing on the island in races, in sword stick fights, and now are fighting one another, even though it's not completely Riku, for the fate of their friend, basically. And this fight is absolutely probably one of the most difficult fights in the game up until this point, hands down. If you're patient with this fight, it's not as difficult. Being patient with this fight is the hardest thing because it's very easy to overcommit to attacks and then get punished for them. Riku has modes where has moments of darkness that surround him, and he has moments where the darkness isn't surrounding him. And it's in the moments when he doesn't have the darkness surrounding him is when you want to attack and get some hits in, and then back off when he summons the darkness to start doing attacks, because that's when the attacks hurt. That's when you really can't interrupt or stagger him. So just a little bit of a tip: if you play these games, be patient with this fight, have healing items, don't take unnecessary risks. Dodge, use your kit, use your dodges, use your heals, and you'll be okay. You'll come out of this. You just can't be super aggressive in this fight. Unless you're super good at this game, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But this is the one fight where you have to be a little bit smart. Otherwise, this fight is very difficult. It's a one-on-one. You don't have Donald and Goofy to stock with healing items. You can't rely on Donald's healing to get you out of a tight spot. Sora defeats Riku and his Ansem Riku, and his body vanishes. Sora tries to seal the keyhole for Hollow Bastion, but he's realizing it's incomplete. The same way that Riku's Keyblade, now lying on the ground, is incomplete. The Keyblade that can unlock people's hearts. So Sora gets this batshit crazy idea to free Kyrie's heart. He picks up the Keyblade and fucking stabs himself in the chest with it. Just smiling, stabs himself in the chest, doesn't even hesitate. And at this point, the Keyblade breaks, releasing 6 hearts that go back to the princesses. So it's very clear that Riku had taken the hearts of the princesses and made this wicked looking Keyblade. And the 7th heart comes out of Sora and goes into Kyrie. And she wakes up in just enough time to see him falling to the ground, having stabbed himself. And as she tries to catch him, he disappears in a shower of light and sparks and is gone. And now that Kyrie's heart is back in her, all 7 hearts have opened the keyhole to Hollow Bastion, and there's just Heartless starting to spawn absolutely everywhere. I cannot state how important this scene is to the entirety of the lore of Kingdom Hearts. Sora stabbing himself is probably one of the top 3 most pivotal moments in the entire series. It's very, very important, and I'll touch on that why in Kingdom Hearts 2. Super huge moment in the entirety of the series. We just basically see Sora falling into darkness. He's just falling into the black abyss, and that's it. And as Kyrie, Donald, and Goofy go about to flee, a man in a trench coat that is open with the Heartless symbol over his chest, white hair and striking gold eyes, Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, appears. He approaches Kyrie to try and get her to finish doing the work with the keyhole, but he stops, and we get a vision. We see Riku holding him back, saying that he can't hold them forever, that they have to get out of here. So whatever this connection is between Riku and Ansem, he's obviously taking advantage of it to kind of hold him back, to give them a chance to escape. They run away. They're fleeing to try and escape Hollow Bastion. We get a cutscene showing a little Shadow Heartless, basically leaving us believe that this is Sora now. And at this moment, you take control of a little Shadow Heartless creature. It's kind of a cool twist. All you can basically do is just move forward and run and jump, and you make your way through Hollow Bastion down to the main hall, where you catch up with Kyrie, Donald, and Goofy. They see Sora as a Heartless coming towards them. Donald tries to bonk him on the head, and he just doesn't go away. And this is where Kyrie recognizes, and she just can tell that this is Sora, and she hugs him as they get surrounded and attacked by Heartless. And at the last minute, before all the Heartless swarm Kyrie, there's a flash of light, and Sora reappears, saying that the light of her heart allowed him to find his way back. So she basically saved him, just negating basically like the last 4 minutes of the game. Not that it really matters, but I swear to you, this is one of the most pivotal moments in the entire game. This is huge that this happened. It is enormous. It's enormous. Don't underestimate it. Beast shows back up after doing whatever he was doing, right? And he says, you guys got to get out of here. I'm not leaving. I'm staying for Belle. And Beast basically allows you to escape. And it's here that we get forced back to Traverse Town. And we get a cutscene of us talking to Leon. Leon asks us to tell him what happened. We explain everything that went down with Maleficent, with Riku, with Ansem, with the princesses, all that. We fill him in. Leon says, you have to go back and seal the keyhole. Like there's so much darkness. And this is the excuse they give for raising all the battle levels in the world. So if you go to any world now after this event happens, basically all the fights are stronger. There are more Heartless there. And this is the excuse they give. It's like there's so much darkness coming from Hollow Bastion that it's made all the other worlds way, way worse. You have to seal the keyhole, but nobody knows what will happen when you do. If you try to go back to the Gummy map and go back to Hollow Bastion, you'll see that the path leading from Neverland to Hollow Bastion it's missing. It's gone. When you talk to the Final Fantasy gang about this, you talk to Sid and he reveals that he hid a gummy block back to Hollow Bastion, a navigation gummy block back to Hollow Bastion in the wall of the secret underwater cavern where Leon does his training. When you go to the secret underground water area to get the navigation gummy, you see Kairi there and you have a conversation with her, and Sora says, listen, when I was falling into darkness, I heard your voice and the light of your heart brought me back. That was what you saved me. And, saying no matter what, they want to come back and go back to the islands and save Riku. Kairi tries to get Sora to let her come with. Sora says, no way, it's way too dangerous. So she gives him, if you'll remember, the seashell charm she was working on all the way back on the island. She gives it to him and says, this is my lucky charm. Don't lose it. Bring it back to me. It's in the shape of a 5-pointed star. 5-pointed star lucky charm. And this is where you get the Oathkeeper Keyblade, which is one of the coolest Keyblade designs in the entire series. Basically a promise from Sora to Kairi to reunite after this is all over. After this, we get a cutscene. We see Riku wandering a path surrounded just by darkness, by nothingness. But he's not giving up. He's determined to see his friends one last time. And this is where we see text on the screen indicating that a disembodied voice is talking to Riku. It is telling Riku that it has this realm's Keyblade, that the door will appear very soon and the door has to be closed from both sides. And that he's been trying to reach Riku, but the darkness in Riku's heart has kept him away. The voice explains that Riku's heart won the battle against the darkness, but it was too late for his body. His body is destroyed, it's gone, it's claimed by the darkness. Riku asks if Sora and Kairi are okay, and the voice tells him that he already knows the answer to that, which Riku accepts to believe that they are fine. So after this, everything's good with the ship to Hollow Bastion. Sid comes back, says we're good to go. So we have to go back there. We arrive and immediately we run into Beast, who says that the other princesses have remained in the castle. He's going back to join up with Belle. And we make our way through Hollow Bastion. Nothing really of significance happens, but if you take a detour side stop to the library, we get the reunion between Beast and Belle. And this is kind of a pretty cool emotional payoff for Beast's little side story here. And if you talk to Belle, she explains that the princesses are trying to use their power to hold back the darkness. And she gives you the Divine Rose Keyblade, which is one of the most powerful weapons in the game. Very, very good. So the princesses stayed behind to kind of try and hold back the darkness that is coming out of this portal that has been opened up. You go into the portal to seal the keyhole. You fight a large behemoth Heartless, which the only way you can damage it is by attacking the horn on its head. And before you seal the keyhole, you hear Leon's voice. And it turns out that Leon and the Final Fantasy gang have come to their home to Hollow Bastion to reclaim it once Sora sealed the keyhole. We also talk to the other princesses, and it's kind of nice to see Jasmine and Alice and kind of get that full circle of the story completing itself. Aerith says the final thing they have to do after sealing the keyhole is defeating Ansem, and for some reason she knows that defeating Ansem will restore everything back to the way it used to be, meaning that the worlds will become separated, the barriers will be restored to the worlds. And obviously this is very sad because they won't be able to see each other anymore, but Leon's like, if we don't forget each other, we'll always be able to see each other. So the gang enters the portal, Sora seals the keyhole, and the princesses thank Sora for his help, but they warn him that a greater darkness is growing on the horizon. After all we've been through all of our adventures, from the Disney World to Hollow Bastion, we finally arrive at a place called the End of the World, a swirling black hole mass of scattered land. It is a world taken by the Heartless. The gang arrives in a purplish, dark, disintegrated landscape. And they say to each other, they mention how once they beat Ansem, the worlds will be restored. And they wonder aloud what will happen to them here when the worlds become restored. And Goofy tells them they don't have to worry. Their hearts aren't going anywhere. Really what this world is, it's difficult to describe. It's when you arrive, you're in a vast ocean of nothingness with small spits of land in between a path that's invisible that you can't see. And this world is really an amalgamation of all the worlds taken by the Heartless. It is a compacted, combined mess of all of these worlds smashed together, different spits of land, broken paths, gorges, cliff faces, just a nightmarish place that feels like almost like a living organism. And that's because it essentially is. It is a almost living Heartless, a place that has been put together over all of the worlds that the Heartless have conquered. And really, there isn't too much story that happens in your travels in this world. You really travel throughout the world, like I said at first, traveling an invisible path between spits of land as dark purple energy balls fall from the sky, engulf you, and you're forced into battle with some of the most difficult Heartless to date. Demon, devilish looking enemies called Invisibles, with heart shapes knocked out of their stomachs, just missing that completely. Wicked looking swords, powerful attacks, long tails, and angel looking Heartless, glass shards with wings that generate terrible windstorms, and lots and lots and lots of behemoth fights in this world. You traverse the invisible paths between these spits of land, move on to a enormous canyon / gorge, rent and created from different land masses of different worlds that the Heartless have conquered. And then you arrive at a place called the World Terminal, where you can go into a portal in each kind of standing gazebo type structure, and you can go into a world that you previously visited and fight Heartless. Towards the end of the World Terminal, in one of the rooms that you enter, there is a strange looking device, and if you interact with that device, it tells you, "One born of the heart and darkness, devoid of hearts, ravage all worlds and bring desolation. Seize all hearts and consummate the great heart. All hearts to be one, one heart to encompass all. Realize the destiny, the realm of Kingdom Hearts, the great darkness sealed within the great heart. Progeny of darkness, come back to the eternal darkness. For the heart of light shall unseal the path. 7 hearts, 1 keyhole, 1 key to the door of darkness, tied by 2 keys. The door of darkness to seal the light. None shall pass, but shadows returning to the darkness." Essentially telling us what we already know, that there's a door to darkness that hides Kingdom Hearts, the great heart, the heart of all existence, of all creation, the originating place of all hearts, which is basically confirms what Kyrie's grandmother / old caretaker told us in her story, the great light of the original heart, Kingdom Hearts, that was lost long ago. After clearing the world terminals, we enter into an area where we can fly, similar to the Peter Pan world, and there's a volcano in the distance, and a gigantic shadow emerges from the volcano. And this is really one of the coolest fights in the whole game. It's a nod to one of my favorite Disney movies. It is the Chernobog from Fantasia. And this fight is absolutely brutal, but it is very, very, very cool. It includes the music to Fantasia, which I believe was Night on the Bald Mountain, which I believe was what he was featured in. And if you don't know, Chernobog is based on the god of night from Slavic myth. So he fits right into this world, and it's really cool that they included him in that. Fight, and that piece of music is absolutely incredible. I highly recommend you go listen to it. After you defeat the Chernobog, you get to go down into the volcano. You traverse a couple more rooms with enemies, behemoths, and we arrive at what is probably infamously known as one of the biggest challenges in the original Kingdom Hearts. We arrive in a room that is sealed by the Heartless seal at the far end, and we have to fight waves of Heartless to unseal it. This is an absolutely brutal fight. This goes on for, I maybe did this for 10 minutes, 7 to 10 minutes, as wave of Heartless you fought before, Invisibles, Angelic Heartless. Everything that you fought before is thrown at you, Behemoth, as the door slowly unlocks as you progress through the waves. And like I said, this is brutal. Donald and Goofy both died maybe a handful, dozens of times trying to do this. I tried to keep them alive just to keep Heartless off your back. It's really, really challenging. It's really the last kind of challenge and deluge of XP you get right before the end. It's to check you and see if, hey, are you really ready for this? Are you really ready for what's coming? But if you can persevere, play a little bit smart, be conservative with your magic, your healing, and your healing items, you can definitely break through and you definitely beat it. Finally, the last piece of the doorway falls away and you're allowed to enter into a room that has a save point and a final door, one that looks exactly like it did in the beginning, in the Awakening. In front of the secret place, it is the same palish white, off-white, ornate door. And if you go to interact with it, a voice warns Sora, Donald, and Goofy that where you are is the last safe haven. There's no going back after this. You have reached the end of your journey. Sora, Donald, and Goofy enter the door to reveal none other than Destiny Island. Your journey has now come full circle. The place where you started, where you thought was lost, where you saw was destroyed with your own eyes, has become the place that you have returned to. Full circle for Sora and his journey. And he's grown so much. They all have. Everybody has. As you walk the beach, the world starts to drastically transform from the Destiny Island that we know to a cracked, nightmarish former hellscape of itself. Purple cracks in the ground, revealing fissures of energy. A purplish black sea. Landmasses disappear. It is a bastardization of the world that it used to be, now taken by the Heartless. And you see, standing at the water's edge further down the beach, Riku. But it's not Riku, it is Ansem in Riku's body. As you approach him, he turns to face you, and he transforms out of Riku's body into himself. At this point, you already know, he was here during your first scenes on this island, taunting you in the secret place, and now you finally face him down. Ansem taunts Sora, saying,
Take a look at this tiny place. To the heart-seeking freedom, this island is a prison, surrounded by water. And so this boy sought out to escape from his prison. He sought a way to cross over into other worlds, and he opened his heart to darkness.
Riku!
Don't bother. Your voice can no longer reach him where he is. His heart belongs again to darkness.
Sora cries out for his friend Riku, and Ansem tells him, your voice can no longer reach him where he is. And he goes on one of the most epic final boss monologues in any video game. Billy Zane having just such an awesome fucking voice for Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, and tells Sora that
all worlds begin in darkness, and all so end. The heart is no different. Darkness sprouts within it. It grows, consumes it. Such is its nature. In the end, every heart returns to the darkness whence it came. You see, darkness is the heart's true essence.
And Sora rejects this line of thinking. He tells Ansem that
That's not true! The heart may be weak, and sometimes it may even give in. But I've learned that deep down there's a light that never goes out.
So you have come this far, and still you understand nothing. Every light must fade. Every heart return to darkness.
and it's time finally to face Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, and you fight him several different times. And this sets up a rich tradition, a rich history of intense multi-phase final boss fights in Kingdom Hearts. The first fight taking place on the very beach that you used to play with Riku and all of your friends. And it is essentially just a straight up fight between Ansem and Sora, Donald, and Goofy. Ansem floats around. He has a giant bodyguard Heartless that floats behind him that he calls forward to defend him if he's getting attacked too much. The giant bodyguard Heartless can punch you and take control of your body, fucking with your command menu, causing you to freeze and hurt yourself. And It is just, and the soundtrack to this last fight is so good. Yoko Shimomura at her absolute best. You defeat Ansem, and he retreats further back towards the island, splitting the hills and the mountains that make up the center of the island into an interior that reveals a purple, hellish interior. You jump in, and Donald and Goofy go to do the same, but they're blocked out by a barrier. And what should rise from the mountains except your very first foe in the Awakening on Destiny Islands, the dark side, the towering heartless creature, here to tell you this is your final challenge. One last time, you must overcome this threat. And the fight against the dark side is not that difficult. It is pretty much the same as it is during the Awakening and during your Destiny Island fight. Once you defeat the dark side, Sora's left to fight Ansem by himself, one-on-one, a true test of his strength and of his heart, of how much he's grown on this journey. And this fight starts off pretty simple, but it quickly becomes absolutely brutal once you get to half to 3/4 of his health. The bodyguard Heartless relentlessly tries to possess and take over your body. And I was stuck in about a 4 to 5 minute loop in this fight where I had no control over what I was doing. It was too risky to attack because I could have just died, because the Heartless had control of my body and would interrupt my commands and my actions every once in a while. And then after this fight, you're falling. Everything disappears. Everything fades to black. And you're falling through the endless abyss. And you see in the distance a towering, ornate, pure white door adorned with stained glass window and ornaments and 2 gigantic handles. Ansem draws your attention to the door.
What?
Behold the endless abyss. Within it lies the heart of all worlds. Kingdom Hearts. Look as hard as you are able. You'll not find even the smallest glimmer of light. From those dark depths are all hearts born. Even yours. Darkness conquers all worlds!
Which, this is a little bit of a misnomer. This is actually a door to darkness. Kingdom Hearts is inside, in the realm of darkness. This door is not the actual Kingdom Hearts, as much, that is what I believe. But don't quote me on that, because we'll elaborate a little bit more on the nature of Kingdom Hearts in future games. But they see this giant door, and you turn, you see the most ridiculous final boss fight in the history of video games. Ansem has now turned into a gigantic fucking darkness-riddled battleship with a structure made out of disgusting muscle and sinew, disgusting darkness globules, just things that are, and a giant fucking ship head that is an absolute monster. And Ansem is tethered to the ship, his bodyguard behind him now making up the command center of the ship, tethered to this bodyguard, wielding a double glaive blade that looks like the one that Riku used to carry, with the gazing blue eye. Donald and Goofy are taken from Sora, thrust into a dimension of darkness through a portal, and Sora must once again fight this gigantic ship Ansem one-on-one. And this fight was absolutely brutal. I died a couple times here until you get the pattern down. There's just so much going on. You have such a small window to get your attacks in. You have to be very, very patient. So when you defeat Ansem, he goes into a coma, crosses his arms, and he retreats back in his bodyguard that seals him away behind a protective barrier. And now you have to begin your work of dismantling the ship. You destroy the various parts of the ship, the masthead, which is absolutely gigantic and vicious. And with each part of the ship you destroy, you can enter a portal of darkness and rescue Donald and Goofy. And then, once you're all together, once you destroy the core of the ship, you face Ansem one last time, and you defeat him. What follows is a cutscene. Ansem, Sora, Donald, and Goofy standing in front of this gigantic white door in the endless abyss of darkness. And Ansem calls to Kingdom Hearts.
It is futile. The Keyblade alone cannot seal the door to darkness. Kingdom Hearts! Fill me with the power of darkness! Supreme darkness!
The door begins to open, and darkness begins to spill forth, but not before Sora proclaims that Ansem is wrong.
You're wrong. I know now, without a doubt. Kingdom Hearts is light.
Light! But why?
And behind the veil of darkness, piercing light shows through, blinding, brighter than anything that anyone has ever seen, and Ansem takes the full brunt of it, weakly saying light before he is consumed and destroyed for good. The light subsides, Sora, Donald, and Goofy rush forward and try to close the door because there is still darkness spilling out. It is the realm of darkness. Donald looks inside to see an endless multitude of heartless, gigantic dark sides, and just an endless tide of shadows getting ready to spring forth through the open door. They try to close it, but they can't. And who should appear on the other side but our friend Riku?
Don't give up! Come on, Sora! Together we can do it!
Okay,
Who starts to pull it, closing it on himself, knowing that he'll be trapped there, but desperate to undo the damage that he has done, trying to close the door. The dark sides rise up. The shadows look like they're going to overwhelm Riku and his friends, but there's a flash of light. And at the last moment, we see a character standing on one of the hills, holding a Keyblade, the inverse Keyblade of the one Sora has, different thematically in color. We see the rounded ears and the red pants and the white gloves. It is, finally, after all this time, King Mickey. He has arrived. The other funny thing that this does is, if you remember back to the scene in Hollow Bastion when...
There can't be two Keyblade Masters.
Well, guess what? There's two Keyblade Masters. King Mickey is one of them. He found the key of the Realm of Darkness, and the only way to seal the door to darkness is with two Keyblades, and it has to be closed from both sides.
Your Majesty!
Now, Sora, let's close this door for good.
Close that trap!
but
Don't worry. There will always be a door to the light.
Sora, you can trust King Mickey.
Now! They're coming!
Donald, Goofy, thank you.
Take care of her.
They close the door. Mickey and Sora get ready to seal it, but before the door closes on Riku, he tells Sora, not goodbye, not that he's sorry. He just tells Sora to take care of Kairi. Sora and Mickey each emit beams of light from their Keyblades, sealing the door to darkness. And as they do this, the worlds start to reform. All the worlds that the end of the world is made of, this bastardization, this amalgamation of all the worlds taken by the Heartless, start to reform to their original state, including Destiny Island, the denizens returning there. And we find, at the end, as the cutscenes switch from rendered graphics to CGI, that Kairi is there. And we try to grab Kairi by the hand and hold on to her, but we're separating. The worlds are taking Sora, Donald, and Goofy somewhere else. Sora and Kairi have a brief moment to exchange words before they're sent back to where they came from. For whatever reason, Sora doesn't go back to Destiny Island. And Sora promises that he'll come back to Kairi, no matter what it takes. He'll come back to her. And the game closes with a scene of Kairi standing on the beach as her home reforms. And she sees all of the stars shooting up into the sky and reforming as the worlds taken by the Heartless are restored. Dozens, tens of fifties of hundreds of worlds reappearing in the night sky. And as she explores the old path of her home that she thought was lost, she enters the secret place and stumbles across the drawing of her and Sora and sees that Sora had added the drawing of the Paupu fruit to her drawing of him giving it to her. And she does the same, drawing a Paupu fruit of her giving one to him. And the credits roll. Get one scene, one after credit scene after the credits roll. We see Sora, Donald, and Goofy walking down a path in a green field of an unknown world. Donald wonders what to do next, and Sora says they have to find Riku and King Mickey. And Goofy wonders out loud, where do they start looking for the door to the light? Where do they start looking for a way in to help them? And they're pretty downtrodden, it seems pretty helpless. But out of nowhere, Pluto, thought you forgot about him, but he's back. Pluto appears with a letter from King Mickey with the king's seal on it. And Pluto takes off running. Sora says, let's go. And they take off running down the path towards their next adventure. Despite all of this, despite the themes of Kingdom Hearts, of friendship, of strength of heart, the game ends on a really somber note. Yes, you defeated Ansem, and yes, you stopped the Heartless and restored all the worlds, but everybody's separated. Sora and Kairi did not reunite, if just for a brief moment. Riku and King Mickey are trapped in the realm of darkness, and now they have to find a way to get him out. Relatively somber note. It doesn't really wrap up everything on a happy note. And I kind of like that, because it sets the stage well for the games to follow. There are various things to do in the end game. If you haven't wrapped up several things, you can go back and wrap them up now. Throughout your journey, throughout opening chests, you'll have found triplet sets of Dalmatians. There are 99 of them in all, so 33 sets throughout the worlds to find. And you get different rewards depending on how many you find every time you go back and see the Dalmatians at their house in Traverse Town. Mostly they're gummy parts and synthesis parts you get. And if you find all 99 of them, Pongo and Perdita give you one of every gummy block in the game, which I guess is kind of cool. Isn't really that great of a reward because the gummy stuff isn't really that great. There's missions and stuff for the gummy missions and different routes, high scores, all that stuff, but I don't really care about any of that stuff. It's not really worth it. I don't think you get anything of note from it. There is a pretty vicious grind for synthesis materials to get the Ultima weapons. So with the tradition of Final Fantasy Square games, you can get Ultima weapons for Sora, Donald, and Goofy. And in order to do this, you have to find special Heartless in each world and kind of play their mini games. For example, one of the Heartlesses are called like the Red Mushroom Caps or something like that. I don't remember the exact name, but they perform a certain action. Like, let's say they'll wave themselves with their hands like they're hot. So that's an indication that you have to cast Blizzard magic on them. If they shiver like they're cold, you have to cast fire magic on them. And they just do these kinds of things. So you have to do what they're asking you to do. And if you do it 3 times in a row, they'll throw a bunch of items and MP bubbles out. And that's how you get some synthesis materials. There's a game with a special kind of Heartless where you have to keep track of where it flies over the level, and then they all land in a row, and you have to pick the one that's the real one. So just stuff like that, and you have to grind these a lot because the drop rates for some of these items are really, 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 really low. And this wasn't as much of a pain in the ass in the original game. A lot of these extra Heartless were added in the final mix. So I remember I had the Ultima weapon in the final game, or the original game, but I never bothered to get the final weapon in the final mix because I just didn't want to deal with all of the grinding. And to me, an ultimate final weapon should be attainable that it can be used for the final fight, and it's just not. So it's still useful if you get it because there's Colosseum and secret bosses to do, but I just think for the grind, it's not really worth it. Speaking of the Colosseum, there are 4 different tournaments that you can enter. I mentioned them a little bit back in my story playthrough. The Phil, the Pegasus, the Hercules, and the Hades Cup. And these are just all scaling difficult tournaments where you fight waves of Heartless in different rounds. All these tournaments are 10 rounds with the exception of the Hades Cup, which is 50 rounds. It's a 50-round gauntlet. I don't believe you have to fight all 50 at once. I think you can make progress in increments of 10, but everything is in the Hades Cup. You fight Cloud and Leon, you fight Leon, you fight Yuffie, and eventually when you get to the 10th round, you fight Hades. And when you fight Hades, that kind of concludes his storyline in the Olympus Coliseum, this Disney villain storyline. So you can leave him till after the fight with Ansem and go and deal with him later, because the Hades Cup is pretty difficult. And then the last fight in the Hades Cup is the Rock Titan, gigantic towering Rock Titan from Hercules. This also unlocks 2 special matches in the Coliseum, the Gold Cup and the Platinum Cup. The Gold Cup is where you fight the Ice Titan, and this fight is a significantly more difficult Titan fight than the Rock Titan. And last but certainly not least, the Platinum Cup, where you enter a pinkish purplish demonic sky, and a mysterious figure teleports down in a beam of light, standing up, extending his wing, extending his hand, drawing his 9-foot-long blade, Masamune. It's Sephiroth. This is probably the coolest fucking thing in this entire game, that you get to fight Sephiroth. And let me tell you, this fight lives up to it, because Sephiroth is, to put it any other way, a motherfucker. He is difficult. He has combos that come out quick. He can cast some of his most powerful moves in the blink of an eye, like his fire pillars. When you get him down to half health or lower, I believe it is, he has a move called Sin Harvest that has kind of a long charge time, but if you don't get to him, it'll take away all of your MP and all of your HP except 1. And then he has a wickedly fast sword slash that comes out after that, basically ending the fight. This is the pinnacle ultimate challenge in Kingdom Hearts, is the Sephiroth fight. It is absolutely brutal, and if you really want to test yourself, it's awesome to see him in this game this way. It's so cool. And we get a little bit of closure with Cloud's story when you beat Sephiroth. It turns out that Sephiroth was the one that Cloud was looking for the entire time. That's why he had to deal with Hades, was to try and find Sephiroth. And Sephiroth and Cloud talk to each other. Cloud tells Sephiroth to stay away from me. You're the darkness inside of my heart. You need to go away. And Sephiroth says that he is a being devoid of light, kind of speaking to their dual nature of Cloud and Sephiroth are always fated to fight each other and be a problem for each other throughout time. This scene is absolutely heavy if you played Final Fantasy VII. And I'm sure 7 Remake too, but this fight is absolutely heavy if you've played Final Fantasy VII. It's so cool and gives a really satisfying, not conclusion, but payoff for Cloud's storyline in this game. There's one other secret boss I would have to note. If you return to Hollow Bastion after you beat the game, there is a portal in the Great Cathedral. Or maybe it's the chapel. It's the chapel. There's a portal in the chapel. If you enter it, you enter into a circular arena, another cavernous room in the castle. A man emerges out of a portal, wearing a black hooded cloak. This is the enigmatic man. And you remember how I said that Sephiroth was the pinnacle challenge? Enigmatic Man is the chief motherfucker in this game. He is strong, he is fast, he has 2 lightsaber red blades that come out of his hand, he employs barriers, he's absolutely brutal. I've beaten him a time, and I have no desire to ever beat him again, and I only beat him because I spammed Tinkerbell. So this fight is absolutely brutal. you have to be at max level. You have to have items. You have to have the best gear to have a chance in this fight. I'm sure players of higher skill than me can do it at a lower level with lesser gear, but I had to have the absolute best of the best to do this. And this fight is absolutely brutal. Comes with an awesome, awesome fucking theme. There are two other optional bosses, secret bosses. One is the Phantom, and you fight him at the clock tower in Neverland. So you're flying around, and he has a gimmick where he curses the clock tower and it counts down. And if it gets to 0, you're just dead. And he can also perma kill your companions. So it's a little bit challenging, but you can actually spam this fight. It's pretty cheesy. And the other fight is in Agrabah. If you see the carpet in Aladdin's house after you go back to Agrabah, you go and fight Kurt Zisa, which is a 6-armed, cobra-headed, gigantic monster. And it's called Kurt Zisa because when this game is about to come out, they had a contest to have a boss named after you in the game, and a gentleman by the name of Kurt Zisa. The only other thing of note at the end is I went back and did the 100-acre wood. I think I said this in part 1 of Kingdom Hearts 1. This world's really nothing. It just kind of tells the iconic moments of several Winnie the Pooh stories and Sora making friends with Winnie the Pooh. The whole gimmick behind here is that, like, since the pages of this book were torn out, like, Pooh's concerned that all of his friends have disappeared, and like as you return the pages, they come back. So it's going through their adventures and reuniting them. There's not really much substance here. I don't really care for it, but you can go back and do it. If you want to do a completionist run, you get a trophy for it, whatever. That is pretty much the end game, is cleaning up all the various collectibles and boss fights that unlock or you may have missed throughout your first playthrough. There's actually one other thing I wanted to touch on, and I think it's really important to read these to you. Throughout your journey, you collect Ansem's reports, the report that was referenced multiple times by Aerith throughout the playthrough of Kingdom Hearts, about the research and the information that Ansem collected. So I just want to read these to you because they provide a little more context. Ansem's Report 1. Much of my life has been dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge. That knowledge has guarded this world well. Not a soul doubts that I am blessed with people's smiles and respect. But though I am called a sage, there are things I do not understand. I believe darkness sleeps in every heart, no matter how pure. Given the chance, the smallest drop can spread and swallow the heart. I have witnessed it many times. Darkness, darkness of the heart. How is it born? How does it come to affect us so? As ruler of this world, I must find the answers. I must find them before the world is lost to those taken by the darkness. Ansem's Report 2. It is my duty to expose what this darkness really is. I shall conduct the following experiments. Extract the darkness from a person's heart. Cultivate darkness in a pure heart. Both suppress and amplify the darkness within. The experiments cause the test subject's heart to collapse, including those of the most stalwart. How fragile our hearts are. My treatment produced no signs of recovery. I confined those who had completely lost their hearts beneath the castle. Sometime later, I went below and was greeted by the strangest sight. Creatures that seemed born of darkness. What are they? Are they truly sentient beings? Could they be shadows of those who lost their hearts in my experiments? Ansem's Report 3. The shadows that crawl beneath the castle. Are they the people who lost their hearts, or incarnations of darkness, or something entirely beyond my imagination? All my knowledge has provided no answer. One thing I am sure of is that they are entirely devoid of emotion. Perhaps further study will unlock the mysteries of the heart. Fortunately, there is no shortage of test samples. They are multiplying underground even as I write this report. They still need a name. Those who lack hearts. I will call them the Heartless. Ansem's Report 4. The Heartless appear in groups and are multiplying rapidly. I provided them both living and non-living samples. They've responded only to the living. They seem to multiply after absorbing something from the living creatures. Their prey vanishes without a trace. I believe the Heartless are taking hearts. They are born from those who've lost their hearts, and thrive on the hearts seized from others. The hearts taken by the Heartless become heartless themselves. Though I lack proof, I am confident in this hypothesis. I must also study their behavioral principles. Though they lack emotions, they do seem to have some intelligence. How to communicate with them? It just occurred to me. Could they be the darkness in people's hearts? Ansem's Report 5. To study the Heartless behavior, I picked one out for observation. It wiggled its antennae and, as if sensing a target, headed deep into the castle. In the deepest part of the castle, its antennae began vibrating, as if searching for something. Suddenly, a strange door appeared. I'd never known of its existence. It had a large keyhole, but didn't seem to be locked. So I opened the door. What I saw on the other side mystified me. What was that powerful mass of energy? That night, I observed a great meteor shower in the sky. Could it be related to the door that I have opened? Ansem's Report 6. A massive core of energy lay beyond the door, sought by the Heartless. It may be the ultimate goal of the Heartless, but what is that energy? I have devised a hypothesis based on my observations of the Heartless. The Heartless feed on others' hearts, and they yearn for that energy core. That thing beyond the door must be a heart. The heart of this world. There is no proof, but having felt that immense energy, I am certain that was the heart of the world. The Heartless are trying to take hearts not only from all living creatures, but from the planet itself. But what do they mean to do with the heart of the world? Ansem's Report 7. I am studying material from the meteors that rained down that fateful night. What a find! The material is foreign to our world. It is elastic to the touch, and when two pieces are combined, they bond easily. None of the records even mention such a substance. Was it introduced to this world when I opened the door? I wonder how many other such materials drift through the atmosphere of this tiny world. I wish I could soar off and find out. Could there be uncharted worlds up there? My curiosity never ceases to grow. But I should stop speaking of such unrealistic dreams. For now, there is no way to venture outside of this world. My people and I are all but prisoners of this tiny place. Ansem's Report 8. There is no doubt that the Heartless are deeply connected to the people's hearts. Further study may unravel both their motivations and the mystery shrouding the heart. As a start, I have built a device that artificially creates Heartless. By recreating the conditions that spawn the Heartless naturally, I should be able to produce them artificially. This device is the culmination of all my research thus far. The machine's test run successfully created a Heartless. This may be a step towards creating a heart from nothing. The artificially and naturally created Heartless showed nearly identical traits, but the two types remain distinct for the purpose of the experiment, so I will mark the ones that are created artificially. Ansem's Report 9. Simply astonishing. Today I had a guest from another world. He is a king, and his vessel is built of the material that composed the meteors. He called the pieces gummy blocks. It seemed that my opening the door has opened a path to interworld travel. We talked for countless hours, but one story in particular caught my interest. That of a key called the Keyblade. The Keyblade is said to hold phenomenal power. One legend says its wielder saved the world, while another says that he wrought chaos and ruin upon it. I must know what this Keyblade is. A key opens doors. It must be connected to the door I have opened. Ansem's Report 10. Just as people have hearts, so do worlds. The same can be said of stars in the night sky, and deep within each world lies a door to its heart. The Heartless desire those hearts. Born out of darkness in people's hearts, they seek to return to a greater heart. Yes, that's it. The Heartless come from people's hearts, as does the darkness. Is the core of the world's heart the world of the Heartless? I will pursue the answer there and become all-knowing. My path is set. I shall seek out the wielder of the Keyblade and the princesses. My body is too frail for such a journey, but I must do this. I will cast it off and plunge into the depths of darkness. The following reports can only be acquired in Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. Ansem's Report 11. In opening the door that stores a world's heart, the wall around that world is broken down. We see this as a shooting star. Through this, I have been able to understand the reason why the material known as gummy blocks have the ability to allow travel to other worlds. The cause of a world's wall collapsing is the appearance of the heartless, but finding a world's door takes time, and robbing a world of its heart is a similar case. If the door has been closed by the key known as the Keyblade, you probably cannot reach the world's heart again. Before the one with the Keyblade appears in this world, I must take measures to do something. Supposing that there is a close relationship between the princesses and the Keyblade, it seems likely that they will resonate with each other. I have chosen one special girl. I do not know if she possesses a power like that of the princesses, but there is a chance, and this is an experiment. She may lead me to the place where the one holding the key is. I shall send her off to the ocean of other worlds. Ansem's Report 12. I have transcended to an existence of only the heart. I should have come back as a heartless, but there is no sign of such a transformation. My body has surely perished. However, I am different from the other heartless, keeping the memories of before, and I have not taken on the form of a heartless. It is clear that there are still many things to be studied. In order to cross over to the dark side, which is not this world, you must go beyond the door of Kingdom Hearts, the place connected to the world's heart. The innermost part connected to the world's heart, the place connecting to the world of darkness. I will record the details in another report. There are still so many unknown worlds: the present world, the world of darkness, the world of light, and the world in between. Where does true paradise lie, I wonder? Ansem's Report 13. When the heart casts off the flesh, where does the body go? Heart and soul are separate, and the spirit remains in the body. But can we assume that the leftover body and soul perish? Certainly, when the heart changes into a heartless, the body disappears. However, that is only this world's story. In another world, mightn't they change forms like the heartless and exist there? If we take that to be the case, there must be a you other than yourself existing somewhere, an existence neither of darkness or of light. An in-between existence, cast off by the heart, a mere shell, one who begrudges both the darkness and the light. This mystery cannot be easily solved. The relationship between the heart and the flesh is a complex one, but since we exist here, they cannot be termed as existent. Therefore, I shall call them the non-existent ones. The story of Kingdom Hearts is relatively simple if you just play it and experience the Disney worlds in the main story, but the Ansem reports actually give you a lot of background lore and information on the world, on the lore. And you really get an interesting story here. In the earlier Ansem reports, and this is funny too because the Ansem reports that you're given throughout your journey in Kingdom Hearts lead you to believe that Ansem is a benevolent man who is researching the darkness to protect his world. But the reports in between showcase a much different man, a man unhinged, who slaughters his own people, who experiments on them, who willingly feeds them to the heartless, who plays with the forces of darkness, a man that truly seems like he has a split personality, for he talks about wanting to protect his people and meeting a king in some of his reports, and in other reports, locking his people underground with the heartless to see what happens to them. It's almost as if it's like two different people. Two different people. There's an interesting thought. We also learn a little bit about the gummy blocks, which is interesting. When the heartless gain access to the heart of a world, the world's barrier shatters, and a meteor shower happens. And what is left of the world's barrier is the gummy blocks, and they fuse together easily, enabling you to craft vessels out of them, enabling interworld travel. This is why gummy blocks can travel the expanse between the worlds, because they're made of the very substance that kept the worlds separate from one another. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. We also see that the Heartless incursion and the Heartless invasion was caused by Ansem. Heartless were always naturally occurring, but he made a machine that could artificially produce them, and these were called Emblem Heartless. These were all the colorful Heartless marked with their sigil that you encountered throughout your adventures. Not the black shadow creatures. Those are pure blood Heartless that occur naturally when a person's heart falls to darkness. We even see that Ansem himself cast off his body and became what he thought was a Heartless. He transcended living life as just a body and transcended to living as just a heart, but he wasn't like other Heartless. We learn a lot of things about Ansem here, and we learn a lot about different worlds and different states of existence too. He mentions how many worlds could there be besides the worlds of light and dark? The present world, and this infers an existence of a past and future world. The world in between, a world that is neither light nor darkness, but somewhere in the middle. And he also talks about different states of being. When a heart falls to darkness, that heart leaves the body and turns into a heartless. Sometimes that body disappears, but if that body has a strong will, the shell is left behind, continues to exist on its own. And Ansem hypothesizes that without a heart, this is not true existence at all. You are a creature of neither the light or the darkness, something in between, which is why he calls them the non-existent ones. The reports really give you a lot of interesting information, and I know you might just see it as like a side collectible thing, but these reports really expand on the world and really take something that you believe is a random journey and places the blame squarely on Ansem. Ansem, all these things happen because of him, because he started artificially creating Heartless and experimenting with the darkness. And I think that's really interesting. I think that's why you should collect them and read them. I understand that it might be a little weird to deliver such important lore in side collectibles. If you play this game, check out the Ansem reports. It really gives you a greater appreciation for the story being told here. So where do things stand at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1, moving forward in our journey? What are the loose ends? What are our plot threads moving forward? Riku and King Mickey are missing, and the gang needs to find the Door to Light to rescue them, trapped in the realm of darkness. Will we return to Kairi on Destiny Islands? What is the true nature of the Keyblade? What are the true natures of the Keyblades? Sora was proclaimed the Keyblade's chosen wielder. The weapon was one of a kind, only he could wield it, but Riku was able to take it from him. Ansem made a Keyblade from the princess's hearts, and Mickey had the Keyblade from the realm of darkness. With the worlds returned and the threat of the Heartless minimized, how would travel between them be possible? Those are just some of the lingering questions that we have, including the ones that Ansem asked. Who are the ones in between? What are the different worlds? What does all this mean? So here are the key takeaways, the key things that we are introduced to in Kingdom Hearts 1, and the things that you should take with you moving forward in this story. We're introduced to the importance of the Keyblade, an important semi-sentient weapon linked to the strength of one's heart that has the ability to seal the entrance to a world's heart and defeat the Heartless. We're introduced to the light and dark, two enigmatic, diametrically opposed powers that cannot exist without one another. These are almost fabric-like powers that permeate the universe, but are also places like the realm of light and realm of darkness. We're introduced to the importance of hearts, the metaphysical representation of your being containing your hopes, dreams, feelings, memories, etc. Strong hearts can project power, and weak hearts can fall to darkness. We're introduced to the Heartless, the main antagonists, and the two types of Heartless, Emblem Heartless, who were artificially created by Ansem, and Pureblood Heartless, created when people's hearts fall to darkness naturally. We're introduced to the worlds, separate almost like pocket dimensions that are separated by barriers. The Heartless broke these barriers, allowing travel between them via gummy ships, or paths using dark powers. The key pieces are all in place. Sora, Donald, and Goofy are in an undisclosed location on a quest to find Riku and King Mickey. Kairi is on Destiny Islands, the goal being to return to her. Riku and Mickey are locked in the realm of darkness. And that is where things stand. Before we wrap up here, guys, I'd like to say thank you so much for joining me for the first parts of Kingdom Hearts Guiding Keys. This has been an incredible journey so far. I had a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings playing through these games again, and constructing the notes and the story to tell you guys, and hopefully made it a little more approachable if any of you are interested in playing the series. One is kind of hard to get through knowing that better times are ahead, but I think it's worth a play just to experience what made the original so special. These first parts of this game unfolded over 4 hours of audio recordings, 4 different recording sessions, 35 pages of notes, 47 Donald Duck deaths, and a lot of writing, organizing, and scratching my brain about what to include. And the end product was very overwhelming and unwieldy. And I think moving forward, I have to adjust my strategy about how I want to tell the story of these games. I think I need to focus and make my notes a little more concise about the information I want to convey to you. And I think I need to rely a little bit more on scripted sections to tell the story. One of my strengths is not describing things from memory kind of freehand. I think I need to have a more guided approach, henceforth guiding keys, when telling the story of these games so that it doesn't turn into a 4-hour multi-part series on one game. So I think that's the path I'm going to take moving forward. And I'm excited to continue to share this story with you. Thank you guys so much for those of you that tuned in, that made it to the end. Through both parts, multi-hour affairs, 2+ hours of Nomura BS each time. Maybe 2 hours after I edit this, we'll have to see. It means a lot to me that you'd be willing to sit here and listen to me tell you the tale of some of my favorite games, and I hope my passion and my love for the series made it an enjoyable listen for you. As always, you can find the podcast all over social media. All the links are in the description of the episode. And I thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy day to listen to something that's so personal to me. And always, remember, may your hearts be your guiding key.